This is Puck Year, New Zealand's hockey podcast with hosts Logan Swinkles and Joe Jury, bringing you the best stories and interviews from Down Under. David Clarkson is a Toronto Maple Leaf once again, but that's not the biggest news this week. And I hope I haven't lost you already by mentioning the Maple Leafs. No, we have some pretty big news here at Puck Year this week. We're actually going to get straight into it. For us, this is massive. Andrew Hay has played 72 games with the New Zealand Ice Blacks. He's been representing his country at the senior level, New Zealand ice hockey for 15 years, been a winner for Korea. And I got a message the other day on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey man, I've decided I'm not going to commit to Iceland, and therefore I won't be playing winter games as well." Basically freeing up that spot for a younger player to come through and maybe try and crack the lineup, which very admirable of Andy to kind of, I guess, step aside like that. He's doing things on his terms, which is the way you want to go out, and he's a great guy, and he's given us this opportunity to have a chat with him and just to talk about his career. So here is my interview with Andy Hay, and then I'll be bringing in Joe afterwards to kind of, discuss it and just try and wrap our heads around the idea of New Zealand Ice Blacks without Andy Hay. All right, Andy, hey, thanks for joining Puck Year. We got some pretty big news. You're stepping back from the Ice Blacks for international duty.
Yeah, that's right. We had a pretty good campaign back in April. Pretty good winter games last year, but just feel that the timing's right to step aside from the Ice Blacks and international hockey, and gives me a bit of time to focus on other things and do some other stuff. So
obviously, because you're quite the understandably you're quite the family man yourself. Making that kind of decision kind of been an easy one. Is that something that's been weighing on your mind for a while now?
Yeah, it has been. I think as you sort of go through life and your priorities change a bit, it's always fun to be part of a team, and through the trials and tribulations of the successes that you have. But at the end of the day, it's just something. It's a hobby, and it's something we enjoy. And for the last wee while, I've just tried to really savor every moment of it. But it's looking forward to the next steps, really.
Yeah, that's big, man. I know you might play it down a bit, but like Andy Hay, not on the Ice Blacks, that's pretty monumental to a lot of the fans out there.
Not really.
See?
I was just fortunate to, I guess, being a part of, NZ hockey history that went, from, leaps and bounds from when I first started to where it is now, and just in terms of the team and the level of competition we're playing at, and just really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, speaking of that, having, you represented New Zealand for the past 15 years. You're known as the most capped Ice Black of all time. Going into it as a fresh-faced kid to now, what state are you leaving the team in, do you think?
Oh, I think there's that old mantra, you try to leave the jersey in a better place than when you picked it up. I think that, like I alluded to before, when I first entered the team environment, there were I guess differing levels of commitment and skill level and all those sorts of things. But over the years, we've certainly developed our hockey sense, our ability to compete. But I think the most important aspect of our game that we've really improved on is just our consistency, showing up to tournaments and performing night after night, which is what you need to get those 5 wins and progress up the ranks in terms of promotion. So that's probably the one area that we've really picked up on. Obviously with the NZIHL and getting a lot more games throughout the season, junior players being and some senior players being based overseas in the summer months, all those things add up and really contribute to those sorts of things.
Yeah, speaking of that consistency, obviously, the Ice Blacks have kind of been knocking on the door the last few years, coming so close to getting, New Zealand back into IIHF's Division 2A. Are you at all a bit, disappointed that it won't be happening, during your playing tenure?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, like I said before, we've been knocking on the door for promotion for the last 3 or 4 years. What's really hurt us, I guess, is just being able to string 5 really strong performances together over the course of a week. But in saying that, we did all we could in terms of trying to achieve that goal. I've got no doubt that we will get there. Was hoping to get there this year, but unfortunately it is what it is, and that's just the nature of sport. And hopefully the group will learn from that as they have from other years, and come together even stronger for next year.
Yeah, no, obviously not making yourself available for Iceland 2020 means you're also not playing in the Trans-Tasman Challenge Series this September against the Aussies. If you were able to make it down to Queenstown for those games, what do you think it would be like for you watching the boys from the stands instead of being out there on the ice with them?
Oh, I don't think it would be too difficult. I mean, to be fair, I didn't quite make the cut a couple of years ago for the Winter Games in Queenstown, which was pretty tough, but gave me a chance to sort of reflect on where I was and what I still wanted to achieve, and gave me a little bit more drive to come back a bit better the year after and make that selection for World Champs last year. So I don't think it'll be too difficult. Whether I'm playing or not, I'll certainly be one of the number one Ice Blacks fans for sure, and just rooting for the boys and helping them any way I can in terms of their preparation and whatnot. But no, I don't think it'll be too difficult.
And of course, you've got your brothers Josh and Ollie, who could still make the grade. I know Josh; he's probably seen his face plastered around a little bit lately with
I saw that.
Yeah, all the promotions.
Poster boy.
Yeah, so he's kind of hoping he makes the cut this year. So at least there's at least one Hay should hopefully be in the Ice Blacks at some point.
Yeah, I think so. Oliver, obviously he's coming up and growing into his role as a defenceman. He moved back from from the forward position a couple of seasons ago, and he's growing into his role. If he keeps up his commitment and whatnot, I can see him being a pretty regular fixture on the Ice Blacks blue line for a few more years to come for sure.
Nice. Now, I'm sure, there must be plenty of special moments for you during those 70-plus IIHF games you've played with the Ice Blacks. Is there one that really stands out to you the most?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. I guess maybe not so much moments, but maybe collective tournaments and efforts that we've been through. One that sticks in my mind is 2007. I think that's when we really turned a corner. Jeff Benazzo was the head coach that year, and we had a bit of a philosophy and a theme throughout the team that we were 100% Kiwi made, and that just reflected the fact that for the first time in our history, every single player on the roster was actually born in New Zealand, and we thought that was pretty cool. It certainly helped with our identity and our culture and those sorts of things that we were trying to drive in the team.
Yeah.
Managed to win a gold medal in Ireland, albeit it was Division 3, but back then that was a big achievement for us, and that's where I feel we turned a corner. And the second one will probably be the 2011 World Champs in Melbourne, where we, after 4 or 5 years of having the same core of younger players coming through together, we managed to string a pretty solid performance together in Melbourne, coming up with a silver medal in Division 2, which was a big deal for us at that time. Just individual moments would probably be, I think it was 2013. We were losing to China and managed to get a couple of goals in the last minute from memory to sneak a victory over them, which was pretty special in terms of beating China. I think from memory that was the first time we'd ever. Oh no, it was the second, but still pretty special. But yeah, there's plenty of memories that we could go through, but those are the ones that certainly stick out.
And what about your, do you recall your debut game for the Ice Blacks? Are you able to take us through, that moment when you first put on the jersey for the first time? I know it's going back a bit.
No, I do. It was actually when the Canadian Moose used to tour New Zealand and play 5 or 6 games against the Ice Blacks in Auckland and Christchurch and Queenstown. So it was a good chance. Back then it was just a national tournament. There was no national league, and so it was a really good chance to blood some younger players, and I got a crack. I think I was just turned 18, and so did debut against the Canadian Moose, and I was from memory I was pretty nervous. Might have been packing myself a little bit, but from memory we came away with the win, so that was pretty cool. And then just to be part of the environment, get a bit of a taste of what it was like. And back then there were plenty of senior guys around that gave up the game a while ago, but they were certainly helpful coming into the environment. And I certainly remember that anytime we have any junior players coming in now, and just trying to help them through what they're feeling, and just getting them in the right frame of mind to perform when we go to the World Champs.
You sort of you touched on the whole homegrown thing earlier, sort of back in like the 2017. Sorry. Of course, now we've got people like Matt Schneider, Ryan Strayer, who have come to New Zealand, and they've made it their home, and now they're representing their new home country. What does it mean to you to sort of, I guess, see the caliber of those kind of international players come here and want to represent the black jersey?
I think it's great. The fact that they're coming, to New Zealand, and a lot of the times they come here not for hockey for any by any means. They're here for other lifestyle changes or those sorts of things. And a couple of those instances, I'm pretty sure those players didn't even know that hockey existed down here. But fortunate for us, they decided to get involved and go through the required processes in terms of playing a certain amount of time, and obviously gaining residency and citizenship, and making themselves available for the national team. I think that's great. I think the squad at the moment's got a really good mixture of youth and experience, and I think we're in a good position to push forward in terms of achieving what we want to achieve going forward.
No, I guess you mentioned before you sort of struggled to crack the lineup a couple of years ago, and I've heard some of the other guys say that it's tougher, more than ever. It's tougher to crack that Ice Blacks roster these days. What does that say to you about New Zealand ice hockey's current talent pool available?
I think over the last few years we've really developed our depth throughout the wider squad. It's at the moment there's probably 30, 35 guys that could certainly put their hand up and, perform at World Championships. And, I guess the issues we face in terms of, costs and time away from work and family and those sorts of things, you're always going to struggle to be able to take every single player that you want. And I think that depth's really important. Series like the Winter Games just give us, another avenue to develop, particularly the junior talent coming through. So, the depth's great. There's lots of competition. It's for spots every year. It's certainly growing, and just really happy with where the squad's at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's probably something that some of the fans don't know about you, is that you're actually, aside from playing, you're quite heavily involved these days, I guess, in the more like front office side of things. You're a guy that obviously really cares about your team, the Botany Swarm. Is it a possible hockey career move for you there, where fans see you move behind the bench as, say, a coach or a manager?
Yeah, I haven't really given that a whole lot of thought. I mean, you touched on it before, just around being involved in the office stuff, the front office stuff. We have a board of directors for the Swarm that have been meeting regularly over summer, and trying to the first priority was to fill pretty much every single position which was vacant at the end of last season, but we managed to do that. Second priority was just around sponsorship and funding, and the third one was around securing our imports on top of the local talent that we had. So we had a pretty successful off season, I think. Certainly enjoyed. Again, it's something that happy to consider in the future for sure.
Okay, so obviously things are looking up with the Botany Swarm. You sort of mentioned that you had a very busy off-season, filling a lot of positions. Now, the news of you stepping back from the game with the Ice Blacks doesn't mean you're done completely. You've got unfinished business here with the Botany Swarm. You've got your semi-final coming up against the West Auckland Admirals, for a chance to face the Stampede in the NZIHL Finals. How do you prepare for a single elimination game like that?
Yeah, it's nice to be, firstly, back in the playoffs after a relatively long hiatus. I've had a few frustrating years, but we've managed to pull it together when it counts this year. So, we're just really happy to be back in knockout hockey. And just coming back to your question around how we prepare, I don't think we do anything too drastic or different. We just continue what we've been doing so far this year that seems to have worked reasonably well for us. So not too many changes. There might be the odd adjustment here or there, like there is with any game. But the boys certainly are excited for knockout hockey, and especially playing at home against our crosstown rivals is going to be a massive occasion.
And this is, the first season as Swarm head coach for Michelle Cox. It appears like she's really turned this club around. I mean, you guys weren't that far off last year, but this year it seems like Botany has just found, a higher compete level. As the captain, what difference do you think Michelle has made so far?
Yeah, I think just making sure that the guys aren't slacking off. I think I mentioned last time, Michelle's a pretty hard taskmaster, and making sure that everybody's A, understands their role, and B, does it to the best of their ability, which I think is really important when you're trying to build a winning culture for a team. The guys have bought into that. Everything's for the greater good of the team. No dickheads, all those sorts of things obviously go without saying. But I think it's just really instilling a bit of belief in guys and a bit of confidence to back themselves and back their skill set, their abilities, their experience, and collectively all just coming together to work hard, compete every night, and have a bit of fun.
And this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I have to ask, if the Swarm, were to do the thing this season, I'm not going to say what it is that your NZIHL playing career wrapped up as well, you think?
I don't know. I don't want to look too far forward into the future. Just try and concentrate on, obviously this got a big weekend coming up this weekend and next weekend, so really just concentrating on that. And there's plenty of time over the summer to think about next season and what ifs and whatnot. But if it is what it is, then I certainly have no regrets and pretty happy with how it's all played out for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been such a privilege to watch you play. Getting to know you while covering New Zealand hockey over the last 5 or so years. I just want to wish you all the best, for what is left of your NZIHL playing days, whether this is the last season or, you got a few more. I can't wait to see it. And, we wish you good luck against the Admirals in next weekend's semi-final.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate it, Logan. Just shout out to the Puck Here crew. You guys are awesome, and the way you covering the sport and giving us the exposure that we need. And we've been crying out for a while. Just on behalf of the players and whatnot. Big thanks to you guys for sure.
There you have it. Andy Hay hanging up the skates at least for international competition. 72 games with the Ice Blacks, most capped of all time. It's going to be sad to see him go, don't you think, Joe?
I'm still in a bit of shock. I just you sent me the interview and you said, "Hey, I've got some massive news that I need to tell you." And I listened to it, and I was it was almost like I didn't believe it. It was like your favorite TV show getting cancelled or something like that. I was just like, "What? No, this isn't real. What are you talking about?"
Oh, we can't ask for 6 seasons and a movie here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around a long time, Andy Hay. Yeah, 15 years, would you believe it, representing New Zealand, at the senior level. That's incredible. The fact that he kind of has had that, longevity in his career. He's always kind of been a mainstay. He's a guy that, the guys really lean on. He helps bring in those new guys and sort of, gets them, acclimated towards, the Ice Blacks environment. And, he's just been such an outstanding figure. The name is unanimous, or synonymous rather, with New Zealand hockey these days. So, it's going to be a big loss. But I mean, hey, he's still going to be rolling with the Botany Swarm at least for now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you?
He wasn't revealing anything more there. You tried to get it out of him, but you also almost jinxed things that he didn't want to talk about either. So I guess what can you say about him? He's always been amazing with us, especially and like helping with the podcast and being available for interviews and videos, and like the piece that we shot with him with the reveal of the new jersey and everything for the Ice Blacks. Just an awesome dude, great for the sport, and hoping that his playing career for the Ice Blacks has the curtain's been drawn on it, but hopefully that still means he'll be involved with the team on a kind of assistant coaching level or something like that. Just involved in the team going forward, because he's a great asset that the sport in this country can't lose completely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I guess family is definitely important. I'm learning that. I got to start making more time for the wife and everything. And hockey can't always be number one as you start getting older. You're hitting your mid-30s, you're already there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, awesome dude, like you said, has always made time for us, but not just us. Any New Zealand media that's kind of given, New Zealand hockey time of day, he's always stepped up. He's been great on a few stories with The Crowd Goes Wild, both as an Ice Black and the captain of the Botany Swarm. Played along with some pretty questionable jokes by old buddy Chris Key, that it was the Ice Blocks, not the Ice Blacks, and that he always was hiding an ice block in his pants, and he went along with that kind of thing, and and rollerblading down Mission Bay with a mesh vest. Like, the dude's got a great sense of humor. He's all about pushing the sport and everything, and he's like an awesome role model for the the younger generation coming through. So I hope that they see that, and I hope that they can learn something from his career.
And the Hay name lives on in the Ice Blacks as well. I know Josh is as you said in the interview, the poster child for the Trans-Tasman series this year, and Ollie's just going from strength to strength as a defenceman for the Ice Blacks, which I didn't know he was a forward, and he's only just become a...
Yeah, I think he made that switch. I think it might have been a couple of seasons ago, and I kind of always saw him as a forward. Then he sort of made the switch and picked up, older brother Andy's trade there on the blue line. Interesting that Josh has kind of been the poster boy. He's only played a handful of games with the Botany Swarm. Curious to see if he actually does get picked for that Winter Games series. He messaged us and was like, hey, see my faces everywhere, kind of hope I get picked.
Yeah, you don't want a Jimmy Neesham in the 2015 Cricket World Cup situation where he was on all of the posters pre-World Cup and then didn't make the squad.
But how crucial was he this year?
What a comeback.
I know.
Anyway,
Jimmy.
this is not a cricket podcast.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I mean, we derailed it for a few weeks with the Cricket World Cup, but Andy, thanks so much for always taking the time to chat with us. Great guy, and I'm sure we'll see you around the place. You not being in the Ice Blacks doesn't mean we're not going to be seeing you at all. And he's got a great mind for hockey, not just on the ice, but also the way things should be running. So, who knows? You might see him in a GM spot someday, because I definitely think he could do that kind of thing.
Absolutely. What a great New Zealander.
Absolutely. Great New Zealander. With that, we'll wrap up the podcast for the week. Thanks for listening, everybody. Yeah, big news for the week. Next week, who knows how we can even top this, to be honest. I am doing a crossover episode with one of the guys from the Fifth Liners podcast here in Australia. So we might jimmy that. Basically, it's a cross release, and we're kind of, comparing the Australian League and the New Zealand League. And, the New Zealand League, we bitch and moan about it. The Aussies, they do the same. We're kind of we're like each other. We're big brother, little brother,
Yeah. Those guys are looking for the puck gear bump. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I think they get a few more listens than us. Slightly bigger market, Australia than New Zealand. But hey, thanks everyone for, listening and tuning in, subscribing to the podcast, wherever it's Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll be back next week.
See ya.
Puck yeah, it's New Zealand's home for hockey. Subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or with your favourite podcast app for the latest episodes. Follow the team on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at PuckYeahNZ. And for your fix of hockey news, go to puckyeah.nz.